surprised about your group's response after Game 1?
Just how we responded. Every game isn't going to be perfect. We playing against the defending champs. And they punched us in the mouth first game, and we knew that. So I knew we was going to be ready tonight. From a competitiveness standpoint, we were pissed off in how we played last game, and from top to bottom, and we knew that we just had to play better.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the Celtics Talk podcast here on the NBC Sports Boston podcast Network, coming to you as they dismantle or rearrange the Celtics floor here at TD Garden with Jeff Goodman. Celtics win Game 2. Let's just start general 10,000-foot overview. What was your biggest takeaway?
I thought Jaylen Brown, the offensive end, came out, set the tone, and I thought Grant Williams. I don't think there was enough talk about what Grant Williams did defensively on Giannis without any help. One-on-one, you put him in there, and you know what? He frustrated Giannis. Giannis didn't, to be honest, he was tentative. Mm-hmm. He was tentative in that second quarter. And I thought, again, when you do that, you then make it so those other guys aren't going to get easy looks. Bobby Portis didn't really go off. Grayson Allen didn't go off. A lot of those other guys just didn't get the looks they would normally get when you have to double Giannis.
It's so funny that we're starting the conversation about Game 2 with Grant Williams, but I do think it's important. Not only was he awesome in Game 2, but roll it back to the last series. Think about the guys he's been tasked with defending. Kevin Durant, whenever Jason Tatum needed a break. Kyrie Irving on switches. Right. And now he comes to this series, and it's like, okay, can you go give us a couple minutes against Giannis? And, you might get some switches against Drew. And it's like...
Chris, I saw him play in college.
Did you know he was going to be this good?
Hell no.
Right.
Come on. He's an undersized 4 who's playing some 3 now.
I had no idea what his position was.
And he's not athletic. No. But I just talked to him after the game, and I said, man, what you've done, I've never seen anybody guard Giannis like that for a half and shut him down. He shut him down. They had some help at times.
Behind the basket, too, there was 4 guys in orange shirts. Probably.
Grant said he didn't see him.
Oh, no way.
That's what he said.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, didn't see him.
G-R-A-N, and then they didn't have enough, so the guy had put the T on the end shirt. So, Grant Williams has, courtside fans now.
Yeah.
So, and
Tennessee fans.
Kind of deserves it.
Oh, he's been – again, you look at his transformation, right? He couldn't shoot the ball from 3. Comes out now, he's a knockdown 3-point shooter. He's a great defender. He's not going to hurt you defensively. He's actually going to help you defensively. He's just so smart. Yeah. And the other thing with Grant Williams that I don't think, and you know this.
Moving the puppies?
Well, no. How about the intangibles?
Ooh, okay.
How about how vocal he is? And a lot of this team is even keel and almost too cool.
Sure.
Grant doesn't care about being cool. He'll say anything. Doesn't care, and I think he brings up kind of that level of just the chemistry of this team. I think he's helped immensely.
It's so funny you say that, because one of the things I noticed throughout this year was how close him and Tatum have become. And he told me a story about how even when he came in for his draft workout, he went and hung out with Tatum, and he knew him from the college circuit, and so they had this relationship, and now it's sort of blossomed. And those seem like a little bit like oil and vinegar, right? Like Tatum's super quiet and kind of keeps to himself, has a kid, and then there's Grant, who's just loud and owns the room.
Never shuts up.
Yeah,
Never shuts up.
And I sometimes think teammates are sitting there going, ugh. But maybe they do need someone like that who just sort of sets the tone in the locker room.
You can't have everybody the same. Yeah. Al doesn't say 2 words. Tatum doesn't really talk much. Jaylen doesn't talk that much. A lot of their guys are pretty chill. So you need a Grant Williams to liven things up a little bit. And my guess is Tatum tells him to shut up at times with his locker next to him.
Right. Yeah, and he probably listens better. Or maybe he sends Deuce in there and says, hey, tell Grant to shut up. And you don't ignore Deuce. Let's talk about Jaylen Brown. You mentioned just the bounce-back performance. I thought he had maybe his it's hard because they played so many playoff games, but probably one of his worst playoff games in a Boston uniform. 7 turnovers in Game 1. Just cumbersome.
Looked hurt.
Yeah.
He looked hurt, but I don't think he was. I think he just was off.
And to his credit, he did not come out afterwards. It's very easy to come out and be like, my hamstring was, didn't use that as an excuse. Yeah. I think that shows a maturity with just being like, look, I can be better even if I am hobbled. Then he shows up. Our cameraman, Barry Alley over here, sitting here, and he walks in. What time was it, Barry? 3:30? 3:40. He's at the arena for a 7 o'clock game. This is Ray Allen-like to me. First guy in the gym. We said, when I first heard it, I said, I wonder if he's getting treatment. No, he was out here. He wanted to get work in, and it's clear he had a motivation to go out there and just go to another level. What stood out about Jaylen?
Well, I think, again, the fact that in game one, not only did he struggle, but they got punched, right? They got punched and didn't really respond. And I think Jaylen, without Marcus Smart on the court, he had to provide the toughness, right? I think he understood that. He is that kind of tough dude who's not going to back down, physical. So he showed offensively, a couple ill-advised maybe turnovers, but for the most part, he made every shot, and I thought he had a couple unbelievable listen, he and Tatum combined for half of their assists
14
tonight.
assists, right?
Okay?
Oh, it's crazy.
I talked to Tatum after the game, and that's something I've preached forever to Tatum, to everybody. He can be an elite-level passer, and he's showing it, trusting his teammates. Jaylen Brown's trusting his teammates. The ball moved tonight. It moved tonight where it didn't move in game one.
Oh, my God, not at all. And like the extra pass and the extra kick and the extra drive. And they got to wait for it for a little bit in that third quarter. Maddening stretch. I actually timed it out. It was 22 minutes in real time. They did not score a basket. And I was like, oh, my God. But it was also like 9 stoppages on the court.
Yeah, taking shots too early in the shot clock.
Right.
Yep.
It's the one thing I wonder is, can they get away with that? It doesn't feel like they can get away with that on the road. Like, they have to be quicker to recognize, okay, we're reverting. How do we get back to the team that we saw in the first half tonight?
Well, I think when you have that big a lead and you're leading
Naturally,
wire to
right?
wire, and there was never any real game pressure on them, there were some times where they were going for the knockout blow, and maybe you shouldn't have.
Right.
You work the clock and you try to get a great shot, but again, listen. This team, when they're making shots, they are fun to watch. When they're moving the ball and Jaylen's first half, again, the three, you had Jaylen, Grant, and Pritchard they were 9 for 9 or 10 for 10 from three.
Crazy. And it's so funny to go from a game where you were,
Yeah.
mediocre,
Yeah.
53 pointers, 45 of them open and only made 35%, to a night where it felt like they couldn't miss. And meanwhile, the Bucks can't make any shots. So
isn't it kind of simple at times, right?
It feels
if
like
you're
it, but
making uncontested shots, you're probably going to win the game.
Yeah.
If you're missing them, you're probably not winning the game. Sometimes it comes down to it's that simple.
Doc Rivers always said, make miss league.
Yeah.
And we'd laugh and be like, that's oversimplifying it. But sometimes maybe that is it. All right, series is shifting back to Milwaukee. They've sort of stolen home court despite how good Boston will feel coming out of game 2. What happens from here?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's going to depend on Marcus Smart, right? You got to get him back, but you also now feel like, okay, you get some extra days here. But he had to be really hurt to not play in a game of this significance, where if you lose this game, you're in major trouble. Let's face it.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not saying the series is over, but the series is
it's
close to over.
It's almost over, yeah.
Right, so he didn't play, which means he's significantly banged up, because Marcus is about as tough as it comes. So I think you got to not only get him back, but get him back to where he's effective. Derek White, he cannot make a shot. I feel so bad for him, because you could tell he's pressing now. I almost wanted him to take the shot at the end of the game
just to
get one. Yeah,
he got one after the whistle, and I said, maybe that will take the lid off for him, but it didn't.
Yeah.
So let's stay on Derek White for a second, because I do think that's kind of fascinating. One of Brad's big in-season moves to go get him, to get elevated without Smart out there. But he was still plus 28, I think.
And that's the key.
Right.
Even if he's not making shots, he's not hurting you, because defensively, he's solid. Offensively, he's not going to force bad shots, right? He's going to play within the confines of the game and the way it's supposed to be played. But he's got to make a few, or else, you know what? Peyton Pritchard can make a few. And that's kind of the positive there. Pritchard, you're giving some on the defensive end in terms of size, but you're going to get something in terms of shot making.
And he has to stop stepping on the end line. I know Peyton Pritchard went through this when he first got into the league. It's kind of funny. These guys have gigantic feet, and sometimes you just you hit it. But first off, your shot's not going in, and now you have to worry about that. It's just kind of funny when it all seems to conspire against you. Can the Celtics, with Grant Williams as the poster child, and what they've done with Al, I still can't believe he's 35 years old. Can they play this sort of defense on Giannis throughout the series? Now, obviously, he got his in game 1, hurt him with the pass. Tonight, they found a way to neutralize that. Even when he didn't have it going, then he didn't hurt them by kicking out as well.
I think part of it is he doesn't have his sidekick in Chris Middleton, and that's not talked about enough, right? Sure. Giannis has an off night. You have Middleton to step up, and Middleton's kind of that 3-level scorer that again, just does it quietly, but is the professional kind of scorer that team needs. So there's so much more on Giannis right now. And really, if you watch Grant, what's he doing? He's guarding him at the foul line, which makes it tougher for everybody else because it's not giving them enough space to drive. So Giannis now, make him a jump shooter as much as you can. And really early on, what was he taking?
Yeah,
turnarounds.
Yeah,
and he was taking turnarounds, like deep turnarounds. He wasn't trying to take advantage of Grant. I don't know how much longer that goes in Milwaukee. I think, again, you're going to get some more calls in Milwaukee as well. Listen, I just don't think they can continue to keep Giannis off balance like they have. I think he's going to have one of his games, his efficient, 35 and 15 type game. But again, you can't let the Grayson Allens and the Bobby Portises and Pat Connaughtons, you can't let them get going. And Drew Holiday, he struggled early. That was a key, too. I thought defensively, the job they did on Drew early.
And think about it. Drew's probably thinking, no Smart out there.
Right.
Like, it's going to be a lot easier out there, and they found a way to make it difficult. The thing with Giannis, you just got to keep him on transition. The Celtics have to value the ball. Here's my big sort of final question as we go into this Game 3. Can the Celtics go on the road with this core and win in a tough environment against a defending champ like that? Can they find a way to steal back home court?
Yeah, just split. Come back again. Come back tight. All you got to do is split there.
Yeah.
I think they can do it. I think they feel really good coming out of this one now. Obviously, coming out of Game 1, they said they were calm and that there was no panic, and there probably wasn't. They've been, 32-8 in their last 40 games. Why would there be panic?
There's always panic in Boston, though.
If they lost this game,
yeah.
there'd be major panic. So they showed a level of maturity that I think this team would not have had 3 months. We know they wouldn't have had it.
Yeah.
And I talked to Tatum a little bit about that, and I said to him, how much have you matured?
Yeah.
And he admitted, not only has he matured, I think a lot of the guys, he and Jaylen especially, have matured and picked up some. And maybe it's watching the Al Horfords a little bit more, some of those guys.
It is wild that how many playoff games they've been in. It feels like they're only fifth year, fourth year, whatever they are in the league, and yet they've been on this stage. And so, but it is hard to find a road game that they went in. Maybe the confetti game in Philadelphia back in 18, or
Tatum's just such a different player now.
Right.
That's I watched him tonight, and I'm just like, a few years ago when you watch him in the playoffs, he didn't carry himself. Think about it. 3 years ago, he was afraid to go to the basket. He couldn't honestly absorb contact, and he didn't want it. Now he goes in. He's just so smooth. And again, to me, his passing ability and even Jaylen Brown's passing ability has gotten better. He's not a great passer, but he certainly is a willing passer.
Light years better than what they were at the start of the year, and especially over these 2 years. All right, now we'll really end it on this. You got a prediction for how this plays out?
The series or the next 2? I think they'll get a split. I think now they probably win in 7. I had them winning in 6 before.
Yep.
I think the Celtics probably win in 7 at this point. I think it's going to be a hell of a series. And, again, a lot of it's going to depend on not only if Marcus Smart returns, but how healthy he is.
I've been a roller coaster. I said before the playoffs started, I said Bucks in 7 because I just thought they're championship medal. Then they lose Middleton, and I said, okay, Celtics in 7. Then they won Game 1. I'm like, Bucks in 7. I'm just sticking on 7.
Yeah.
I'm hedging all my bets here, but I do think if the Celtics play offense the way we have seen them capable of, especially in the first half,
move the ball.
If
they move the ball, they'll be fine.
And I'm sure Ime is going to stress that. All right, we need everybody to go like, subscribe, check us out on the YouTube page. We'll catch you next time on the Celtics Talk Podcast.